Hi guys, I hope you guys are having a nice time at the Indaba. I am here to talk to you guys about women in the workplace as a woman in the workplace. So, did you guys know that 1 in 10 women in the United States is leaving their place of work to start their own entrepreneurial businesses? And what's even more shocking is that all those women that leave are said to be 3 times happier than women that stay in their own careers under other people or under other established workplaces like where I'm working now. And I think the question we all want to know is why. And one of those reasons I would like to talk about today is something as that seems as small as compliments. Um, my boss and I, we worked in a really high level project, this internship, and we were at the office till 11 p.m. one night, and we were just like, like there's no salary from the beginning of the world to the end that can make someone leave their house from 8 in the morning to stay till 11 p.m. changing type fonts and all of that. And I had to reflect on that statement because it's only a sense of personal fulfillment. Even if it's career development, it's career development that gives you a sense of personal fulfillment that drives you to do the extra mile. But then how do I know that personal fulfillment? Because I can stare at myself in the mirror all the time. I know I'm awesome, but I have to recognize that there are times when someone tells me I'm awesome that reinforces that, and that's where compliments come in. Compliments give you the confidence to realize how awesome you actually are, because I used to think, well, compliments didn't really matter, but then I remember when I showed my boss's boss what we were working on, and he didn't somersault 3 tables and jump over the office to say that my work was exciting, which I thought it was worth all that action. So I was a bit hurt when he didn't do that. So if I can be hurt by someone's reaction, that means that I can also be pleased by someone's pleasant reaction. And that reaction or that feeling of satisfying another person gives me the confidence to do my job. And this made me think about a very popular artist written by Katty K and Claire Shipman called The Confidence Gap. And I talked about how women are not as confident as men in the place of work, which is why you have men speaking over women at conferences, or you have men restating what women have said on the table, but then the chairman or the leader of the conference taking them more seriously just because it's a man that said it. So women sometimes withdraw and don't talk. They don't talk as loudly, they don't talk as much, they always take excuses, they always make apologies for everything, because you almost always feel you're not an addition to it. Instead, you're taking more than you're giving them, which is not true. And through research has shown that that's not the fact. But why is it that women feel that way? And I think, why is it that we women sometimes lack that confidence to take the extra step and just be bold? I think especially in Africa, there are lots of cultures that encourage this idea of a woman being quiet and a woman being shy to show that she's a virtuous woman, because we've gone through this long process of defying the fact that we're not just objects that are supposed to keep quiet and are supposed to be stared at. And for a long time we were victimized for anything that happened to us, because it was that naturally we should know that we're creatures of attraction, therefore we should not do anything to make us more attractive, because us making ourselves more attractive would mean that we're responsible for anything that happens to us. I mean, there's a woman who records videos of people who harass her, who holler at her in the streets, and one of the men said, if a woman doesn't want to be looked at, then she should never have been born. And I think that's one of the things that affect people's ideas of giving compliments and the kinds of compliments it should be okay for us to receive. Because when I walk through my office doors, I don't hear anyone calling any man, hey, handsome, or winking at him. But I've had some of those experiences here, and people say, hey, gorgeous, or hey, pretty, or hey, babe. Yeah, those sorts of things. And they're supposed to be compliments. But how can I how can I make a line between a compliment and a harassment? And again, what's even more important is because sometimes when you actually do actual work, like my high level project, when I do it, it's the kind of compliments that I get from whoever is assessing it affects the type of competence I feel in the work I've done, affects how satisfied I am in the work I've done. Because there's research that has shown that people who are physically prettier or who are rated as physically prettier often feel dissatisfied in their places of work because they feel like half of the ratings that are being given to them is only because they're seen as physically pretty or physically attractive, not because they actually put in sleepless nights in that work. And that's one of the fears of compliments. How do I know that my 11 p.m. run was worth it if someone is only going to like it because he likes my face or because he likes my hair? Why is it that those things are not applicable to men? So one of the questions is, how do you know the line between a compliment and harassment? And then the second one is, how do you know the line between a compliment and a strategy that degrades your actual work or the kind of value add you want to have in your office? And because when you get to define that is when you know the kind of way you want to be treated in your office. But then this is not very easy because, like I mentioned, my boss and I that were here till 11 p.m. we have a great relationship, and I can walk into the office and he's like, Sheila, looking hot. So how do I make it okay for my girlfriends in the office to say, Sheila, you look very hot today, and not for him to say, Sheila, you look very hot, for him to you look very hot today? Am I just brutally categorizing people in the same gender roles that I'm trying to transcend or I'm trying to defy by saying it's okay for a woman to say that because I know she's obviously not sexually attracted to me? And in that way, am I disregarding the lines of almost homosexuality and heterosexuality and completely disregarding its existence within this context subconsciously? So the three questions I want you guys to think about is, what's the line between a compliment and harassment? Secondly, what's the line between a compliment and an objectification of the female, which is focusing on her physicalities or degrading the value add she wants to have by adding her subconsciously adding her physicality into her assessments? And then lastly, how can I be gender sensitive in the way, if I choose to refuse a compliment or recategorize a compliment, how am I being gender sensitive to their gender expression and gender identity? I hope you guys have a lot of fun talking about it because I had a lot of fun thinking of it. Bye.